Welcome to the Quiet Storm, 107.5 WBLS. I told you we're going to have company. And ladies, I have one of Hollywood's, you would call him the finest, the most handsome, with us tonight. He's back. I haven't seen this brother in a million moons. Fellow Virgo brother. I don't think we connected on that note before. But you've seen him in probably lost count, probably over 60-some either films or TV shows. I mean, he's done it all. You've seen him in Glory. You've seen him in Guess Who. You've seen him in Survivor's Remorse. You've seen him in Let's Stay Together, Medea's Family Reunion, or Medea Goes to Jail. And now he's back with Tyler again on this new thing called Duplicity. It's a pleasure to be welcomed back. This man of many talents. He says he's hustling. He can't hustle. He's not hustling anymore. He's living in Hollywood style. RonReaco Lee, always a pleasure, brother. Welcome you to the Quiet Storm. Always.
Listen, man, this feels like home.
I'm glad.
Whenever I see you, whenever I hear you, it just calms my spirit, brother.
Well, you know what? And I know God put me in the right lane, because the lane I wanted to go in, God knew I wasn't going to make it.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be a singer. I wasn't going to be Michael Jackson II. That was my first love.
Man, listen.
I don't know. But I'm happy.
Listen, God know what he's doing.
Oh, he knows what he's doing all the time.
We gotta get you in the other studio, man. Let you.
What?
But you, man, you got that voice.
No, man. The only thing I can talk. Okay. I can talk now. But can't do nothing else.
That's
brother.
it.
That's it.
Well, you talk well.
Thank you. Thank God for that. You know what I'm saying? I knew I have a purpose. He gave me a purpose in life, man.
Absolutely.
And he gave you a purpose.
Yes, he did.
And you have been blessed, man.
I have been, Lenny.
Despite of the ups and downs, the strike and all.
Yeah.
You've been very consistent with your work.
I have been, man. It's listen, when you talk about the strike and a lot of my fellow actors and actresses, man, it's just the industry has changed. And I don't take it lightly. I count my blessings. Last year was a different year for me, but it was a good year.
Okay.
You will never hear me complain. And this year starting off strong. I'm excited about Duplicity coming out. Mr. Perry held on to that one for a minute, so we didn't know what he was going to do with it. So when we found out it was dropping, I think everybody was excited.
Tell me, I've never had the opportunity yet to sit down with Mr. Perry, but I can only imagine how his brain works. I think I would fall off the side of his brain, because it seems like he's always creating. He's a creator, and he comes up with not come see, come saw stuff. He comes with masterpieces every time.
Yeah, yes, he does.
So this is your second or third go around working with him?
This is my third time.
Your third time.
Third time working with him.
So how is, we all have been at different stages in my life. So when you worked with him this time, how's this compared up to how you worked with him before?
It's a big difference. I think he's grown as an artist, as a director, as a writer, as a storyteller. The first time I did with him was, we did Medea Goes to Jail, and that was. We got in, we got it done. It was great experience. Matter of fact, I called shortly after and was like, listen, I was living in LA at the time, but I was like, I'll be a local hire. Like, I got my parents still in Atlanta, like, call me. Right. And my phone didn't ring, so I just thought, man, maybe, everything, it's all in timing. But, right. When I got a chance to work with him again, I was amazed at, he's really become just a filmmaker. He made movies back then, but I think, in the last decade, he's become a filmmaker. And sadly, I saw the last movie he did with Netflix. It was such a great film. I think it was 6888 with Kerry Washington. And Wonderful. That movie made me cry probably 3 or 4 times. Yeah. And the ending, for some reason, just had me. I picked up my phone. I recorded a message for him. I wanted him to see my raw emotion. And I said, dude, you shot this film. This film was just amazing. So I say all that to say he's become a filmmaker. He has a vision for his films. Yeah. And he really requires his actors to buy into it. I think with, going back and doing Mea Culpa, I think one of the notes that I would get from him, I didn't get a lot. I got 2 notes from him. The first one was, after the first scene I did, we were in Chicago, it was cold. And we were outdoors, and he says, let's get RonReaco some lotion. That's the first note I got. So I had ashy hands. Note to all the actors out there, actresses, you working with Mr. Perry, keep you some good lotion. Good lotion. Good lotion. Get you some Kiehl's. What's the one I'm thinking of? Old school, man. My mommy, Jergens.
Jergens?
Get you some Jergens.
Oh, no. Come on.
I'm telling you, the second note I would get from him is slow down. Slow down, slow down. And I'm like, man, why does he keep giving me this note? Why can't I? And I realized that what he was creating was a pace with this movie. He was creating a very specific tempo. And it was a tempo that we weren't used to seeing in his movies. And once I figured, I'm like, oh, he's trying to create, he's building suspense with this tempo. He didn't want anything rushed. He wanted all the actors to take their time, live in these moments, live in these beats. And I think that's just a testament to, he knows the types of film that he wants to make when he sets out to make it.
Right.
And he instructs the actors accordingly, man. So he's grown tremendously, man. It's been a joy working with him.
So he's always on set?
Always on set.
Wow.
Always. I mean, I asked somebody one day, I was like, yo, literally, because I can't talk about it, but I just wrapped up another project with him, literally Thursday.
Wow.
And I remember talking to one of his right-hand man. I said, dude, like, when does this cat chill? Like, when does he and they said, man, it's just, he go hard and then he'll take a little break, and then he get right back on it, man.
He's a beast.
I actually was watching him at work Thursday, and the way he was setting everything up, it was crazy. And I looked at somebody, it was the whole cast was at this table, and I said, man, this is like literally watching Rain Man in Vegas count cards, man. It was, and he's just shouting off lenses. Like most directors, if you're my DP, I'm going to come in and say, hey, man, I want a wide shot here, and then I want to push you in here, and I want to do this. And then the DP will go tell everybody else, okay, man, we're going to need this lens, that lens, this lens. Man, Mr. P come in and straight was like, I need 2 125s, I need 150 here, I need this. He's just, getting these lenses together and instructing where he wants the cameras to be. And then it's like, dude, as soon as you get on set, he's rolling. Like, if you're not prepared as an actor, good luck.
Well, I know you're prepared. I know you do your homework.
Listen, I had some anxieties with this last one, man. I can't talk about, I had some anxieties. But honestly, a good friend of mine, Tequila Whitfield, she's awesome. I've known her for years. She told me something, I'll never forget it. She said, your instrument will show up. And it's that thing of, you forget that, man, you've been doing something for a minute, and so we get, you get the anxiety, you get a little nervous. I don't want to, I want to come in and do my thing.
Sure.
Especially when somebody like, Tyler Perry is trusting me to do this. I want to do it. I want to do it well. And so to hear her say, your instrument will show up, that was kind of my thing. Whenever I had those feelings, whenever I'm like, oh, God, what are we doing, man? This is my, 15th scene of the day, man. I know as soon as I get on set, Miss P going to be ready to go. Your instrument will show up. And it showed up, man.
Wow.
It showed up. God is good.
Hollywood's finest, ladies and gentlemen. Black Hollywood is in the building.
Come on.
RonReaco Lee is with me.
Yes, sir.
And, I know you're a music enthusiast.
Yes.
Give me one of your favorite classic all-time R&B slow jams.
All-time R&B slow jams. I grew up with Anita Baker. And I tell you, man, one of the ones I loved was, oh, God, man, I can think of the grade. It was... Don't
tell me you're going to go back before the Rapture.
I'm not going to go back that far. It was after the Rapture. It was the album with Fairy Tales. Was I Apologize. That song will forever be near and dear to my heart.
So you had to apologize for something. You must have got yourself in trouble.
Yes. I liked the song before that. I just liked the song. But there was a little situation in high school, and yes, I remember I used to do this little chicken breast, and I would put it, at the first meal I learned how to cook, made that chicken breast, and I think I had some frozen vegetables and a little rice, and hit play on the CD. Anita Baker, I apologize.
Wow.
And everything worked out, Lenny. You put on a little Anita Baker and a well-cooked chicken breast, I tell you, man.
Your instrument will show up. That's what I get out of it.
I ain't even going to touch that, Lynn.
And he is in a brand new Tyler Perry flick. Actually, it comes out this week. Mm-hmm. Duplicity. Now, can you crack the egg a little bit and let us know the role you play, first and foremost?
All right, I'll crack the egg a little bit.
A little bit.
I play a police officer. First time.
I can see that.
First time. Listen, I have been wanting to play police officers. I've been playing police. That was, man, one of my first things I would do as a kid, man, I'd run around and pretend I was Starsky and Hutch, man. That's one of my favorite shows my dad used to watch. Sam Jackson was amazing. I think.
How'd you prep for that?
Working with Sam. Well, Sam, I ain't gonna lie to you. Sam made it easy. I think the first day I met Sam, the writer was giving me. They was adding a scene. He's like, "Man, what do you think you would say here?" And I'm sitting over here like, "Oh my God, if I don't have enough stuff to say and do, you over here writing me some new stuff." But listen, that is a blessing that writer felt, and he's a great dude. That he felt like he could come in and write this. So as I'm looking he's typing, I'm looking, I'm making some changes. But Sam Jackson comes in and reaches his finger past me, and he said. I'll give you the clean version. He said, "I'm going to say that right there." And I looked over, and it was him. And I was like, oh, my gosh. And let me tell you what Sam Jackson said to me. Sam Jackson said to me, I was wondering when we was going to work together. And then he had another little thing that he said at the end of that would be a cuss word that I'm not going to say here.
Okay.
And I just fell out, man. Just the idea that he would even say that to me. But I'll be honest, the day we had that scene, when they wrote that scene wasn't initially. It's like one of them things when you get on a basketball team and they find out you got a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
Now they start drawing up plays for you to take them
course.
threes.
Yep.
So they found out that I could kind of handle, thick scenes. A little monologue here or there didn't bother me. Next thing you know, the writer's in there clicking away on their keyboard, writing these long. So I get the scene. I'm like, oh, this is a great scene. In there with Sam. And so I get there the day of, and bro, I'm going to tell you, the devil, he ain't no joke, Lenny. I get there, and I was really trying to monitor, what I ate, how much I ate. And what I did was I end up not eating enough. And so that was going on. I had a good friend of mine who was directing, Carl Seaton, great director out of Chicago, killing the game. And I was in hair and makeup, and I was asking, man, how's it working with Carl? And everybody's like, Carl is great. Carl's got us out of here early every day. And so they're telling me, singing all these praises to Carl. And all I'm hearing in my mind is, don't be the dude to mess it up, right? So all this stuff starts popping in my head.
Right.
And right before the scene, we had our dialogue coach on set. And she just looked at me and said, you want to run this scene real quick? And I looked at her. I said, yeah, let's run it. Ran it. And she looked at me and she said, that, my friend, was perfect. And it was like, that's all I needed, man. And I got in that scene, and it was just me and Sam, and it was almost like I kind of literally just kind of blacked out. Like, man, it was just, we was just in it. And it was great. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it, man. It was just this beautiful moment of act. Because a lot of times, man, I get on set at this point in my career, and I'm the vet. People looking at me like, man, give me some advice.
Sure.
So when I can get on set and I can be the student and I can then soak up, knowledge from these cats that have been in the game, man, I do. It was amazing.
Speaks for itself.
And the best part is, after we finished, I brought tears to my eyes. He said, man, that was everything I thought it would be. And that right there got me choked up, man.
Well, he's paying attention to who's moving in the game.
Listen.
And you've been moving in the game, and he's been paying attention to the movers and shakers. That's why he said he was wondering when this moment was going to happen. That's great.
Listen.
Because I know he's very, from what I've heard, he's very meticulous. He knows his stuff. When he comes on set, he goes right into character right away, even though he may be doing something outside of that moment.
And he'll tell you that. And that was my fear, too. Like, he's not the dude you want to have a bad day with. You know what I'm saying? Because he's going to let you know. And not in a mean way, but he's going to let you know. Real. Yeah, like, come on. You know how he going to do. Listen, he'll tell you straight up. Get these lines. Get these lines, MF. And you know.
Well, you know what, RonReaco, I'm most impressed with actors who remember lines. Like, I could barely remember a line in reading a commercial. I'm reading a commercial. Yeah. So how you consume, like my niece is an actress, and I'm just amazed on how you just retain that.
It's tough. I'll be honest, as you get older, it gets harder. I feel like I don't have I think about survivor's remorse, man. Anybody that knows that show, I beg them people, stop making Reggie so long with him. My character, oh my God. I'm like, why does he have to talk so much? We don't need all these words, man. But, I realize one of the easiest ways for me to learn lines is if I hear them, much like a song, And so a lot of times I will record everything that I have to say. That's just kind of my little trick. And then I'll listen to it constantly. I'll do the scenes where I'll say everybody else's part minus my part. So I can effectively be running lines essentially with my phone. So I can do it while I'm, it started when when my kids were younger, and it'd be my night to give them a bath. I could actually be, doing two things at once. I'd be listening to my stuff, giving them a bath. And then I realized, like, wow, an easy way for me to learn. And if there's a tricky part of dialogue, especially if you're working on a set where they're very meticulous about how something needs to be said, I find that if I can put a beat to it and just kind of, make a song out of whatever that line is or that phrase, my brain, it'll. But it's honestly, as I've gotten older, it's definitely it's gotten harder. I don't have those days where I get to work and I'm like, oh man, I'm about to kill it. I mean, I still feel that way, but I don't know. I just.
You're fine. You're fine. It's like riding a bike.
I appreciate
I'm sure.
it.
RonReaco Lee has been with us tonight. Duplicity, Tyler Perry, fabulous production, written, produced, directed by Tyler Perry. It drops this Friday.
I think it's Thursday. Thursday, yep.
On Amazon. So please make sure you check it out. I'm sure you will be definitely well entertained. And ladies, you know how you just lose it when you see this cat, RonReaco. I understand. He's Hollywood's finest. So that's what happened. Before I let you go, though, man, have you did Broadway yet?
I haven't. And done Broadway. I absolutely. I think there's a great one that just opened, and I was seeing people showing up. I'm like, oh wow, that's right, that play is. I know. I've seen Broadway. I think I went to see Raising the Sun was the first play I saw. Okay. With Felicia Rashad, Sanaa Lathan, Audra McDonald. It was an amazing play. And no, I would. I think for me, especially having younger kids, that would be the biggest thing for me, is just the time that I would be away from them. I'm very, very conscious of how much time I spend away from my kids. I got both my boys are playing sports. I got a baseball player. I got 2 basketball players. And so, we are literally always on the go. I'm constantly putting stuff in the phone. So that would be my big thing. I think once my kids get to a certain age where they don't need me as much, and that listen, I know that I ain't that far off from that. You know what I mean? My kids will be driving themselves to and from practice, so they won't need me as much. But right now, I'm dad, I'm coach, I'm making sure they get reps between the practices and between the games. And so the idea of not being there for that, and then also putting that on all of that on my wife is like, so it's something I would love to do, and I do believe I'll do it one day. I wouldn't shy away from it. I just need to make sure that my family would be okay with me being away for that amount of time, because it's something you have to submerge yourself completely in that.
I totally agree. Yeah. Totally agree. So before you go, the law of reciprocity.
Yeah.
In relationships, do you feel now you've been married for 15 years, so you really don't know what's going on in the jungle like I do.
I don't.
No, you don't. But you hear stories.
I hear stories.
And you see things.
I do see things.
And you have knowledge.
I do.
And you have wisdom.
Yes, sir.
That you probably can impart upon a couple that is, or an individual like, she ain't doing the right thing, he ain't doing the right thing, kind of thing. So reciprocity, how does that work? And how should it work better than what you have observed?
Well, man, that's a good one. I think at the end of the day, I think when people realize, and listen, I'm not saying that I got this down.
I got you.
But I think when you realize, you're a helpmate to your spouse, or to your boyfriend, to your girlfriend, whomever. I think when you approach it that way, I think it's a game changer. I think it's hard to get people to buy into that, because we are kind of. We want what we want, and we want it now. Yeah. And so we rarely stop to think about what the other person needs. I find that in the seasons of my marriage, when I've made my wife's needs and her wants a priority and vice versa, man, them be some good seasons. I think in those seasons where life has kind of shifted in such a way where, all I can really focus on right now is these kids and these bills and this work. And I got to kind of take her needs and her wants and just kind of, unfortunately, kind of make them secondary. Those aren't the best seasons. But I think if I can go back and really kind of go, okay, what's going on here? What is it? Because that's one thing I do like to do is I will go back and just kind of reverse engineer the problem. Well, we was good here. You know what it was? Boom. When you started that job, and it all makes sense now. Now I got to go backtrack. And so I just think if you can, how can you help your mate? And I think when you approach it that way, especially if you got the right one, because some folks is just takers, and you got to recognize that. Real quick. Take, and won't give. But if you can find somebody that as much as you give, they gonna give. It's like you really can't lose. Like how do you lose like that?
You knew right away.
But what'd you say?
You knew right away that was going to be your wife?
Probably not right away, only because I was kind of coming out of something, and we were just friends while we were dating. And it wasn't until I had taken her to, my cousin got married. And long story short, you know, if you bring somebody into your family, right, it's like, okay, like they seeing your family, they seeing your uncles, they seeing your cousins, they in there drinking, they doing this, they doing that. And I was in the kitchen with my dad, and we was talking. I was like, oh, snap, I hadn't checked on Shay. And I remember just kind of peeking my head into the living room. Right. And she was cracking on one of my cousins had said something outlandish, and she called him out on it and had everybody in the room laughing.
Wow.
And I remember going, wow. And I had dated girls in California, you know. It was not one I could think of that I could bring into this situation and her handle it the way my wife did. And so that was the moment I was like, okay, the fact that you can come into my family like this and hold your own with my knucklehead cousins,
says a lot.
That's different. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think that was the moment I started kind of looking at her a lot differently, as opposed to just being a friend, somebody I could definitely spend the rest of my life with.
Well, brother, I'm so glad that you found that your person, as they say these days, right? And I'm so glad that you have been given the gift of what you have given. But you don't know about the hustle game no more, man. You're not hustling.
Man.
He ain't hustling. He ain't hustling like he used to hustle back in the day. But back in the day when you were growing up like a knee high to a chair,
I'd be hustling.
That's when you're hustling.
Now
you kind of coasting a little bit, which is good, as you should, man. But continue to ride on the wave of greatness.
Yes, sir.
And thank you for sharing your time with us. Always,
anytime, brother. Anytime. Always a pleasure, man.
Always a pleasure, man. I feel the same way. RonReaco Lee. Don't forget Duplicity this Thursday, Amazon. You don't want to miss it. It's fantastic, and I can't wait to see it. But like I said, I think he might be guilty. He might be. He's not giving up no secrets. So I got to assume the worst for the moment. And I'll apologize if I'm wrong.